What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Conor McGregor in trouble after recent announcement. When Conor McGregor returns to the octagon in June, he and Michael Chandler will notably compete at 185 pounds. The fight will be the first time that both fighters have competed at middleweight, leading many to wonder how both will compete with the added weight, considering neither one has a reputation for having elite-level cardio. Speaking in a recent video for his YouTube channel, Hall of Famer Michael Bisping weighed in on the situation.
He fought at 145, went up to 155, 185. That is not his optimal weight class. Now, granted, he's fighting another lightweight in Michael Chandler. The problem is, though, is that, as I say, it's not your optimal weight class. So they're going to be carrying more weight. But I think with all that extra weight, it's going to be an issue.
As Bisping's co-host Anthony Lionheart-Smith indicated, the added weight will impact McGregor's footwork as well, given that he won't be able to move the same as he did at featherweight. In recent fights, however, it's been clear that McGregor has veered from the karate style that he used to capture featherweight gold in favor of a more boxing-centered stance. Considering that, with both fighters being heavy hitters, the clash at middleweight could all come down to who lands first. Next up, let's take a look at Ariel Helwani shuts down UFC rumors. In the wake of Conor McGregor's announcement regarding his return, many fans began to theorize as to who could headline UFC 300, given the fact that the Irish star won't be returning until June. With Israel Adesanya recently indicating that he will be returning to the octagon sooner rather than later, many fans have theorized that the former middleweight champ could potentially return on the historic card. In addition, with the original BMF, Jorge Masvidal, recently indicating that he was unretired, many fans have also theorized that he could be returning to compete against Justin Gaethje for the BMF belt at UFC 300. During a recent episode of the MMA Hour, Ariel Helwani shut down rumors that Adesanya and Alex Pereira will compete at the event, as well as rumors that Masvidal will be returning at the event. But that wasn't all. Helwani also squashed talk of Nate Diaz competing on the card, a sentiment that was recently shared by Dustin Poirier, who informed fans that he and Diaz won't be fighting at UFC 300 as rumors had indicated, given that the MMA community has continued to wonder just who will wind up headlining the event. As Helwani indicated, he isn't quite sure who is going to headline the card either.
Islam is out there. Could be a possibility. Islam versus Justin. Could be. Is that 300 main event worthy? You tell me. Edwards could be on there, but again, I don't think the fight against Bilal is 300 main event worthy. Strickland fighting in Toronto. Could he turn around? Maybe, but I mean, you can't really bank on that just yet. Pereira, is there a 300 level fight for him that doesn't include Izzy? I don't know at this moment. And John.
With that in mind, it'll be interesting to see how the UFC handles things for what is expected to be one of the biggest events of all time. Next up, let's take a look at Chael Sonnen roasts Ian Garry for video. Undefeated welterweight contender Ian Garry recently caught the attention of the MMA community when he shared a video of him writing down names on his hit list for 2024. The clip has continued to go viral, with fans taking aim at the Irish contender for what they believe to be a cringe-worthy post. Chael Sonnen was quick to crack jokes in regard to the clip, releasing a video on his YouTube channel that fans were amused by. In it, Sonnen opened up by discussing the names on Jeffrey Epstein's infamous list, which are supposed to be made public, before then shifting gears. Using Garry's video, he joked that the names on the Irish Stars list, Jeff Neal, Colby Covington, and Sean, we presume Strickland, may not be names of fighters that Garry wants to compete against. They may be something else entirely.
What if Ian Garry threatened that he was going to drop the list? He was going to drop the list of clients that bought his wife's book, 4 of which husbands are actively on the roster, signed with the Ultimate Fighting Championship. What if it was a story like that? Would you get behind it? Would you be curious? I made up the number 4. What if it was number 3? What if there was an actual number and it was 1 and he had it? The name, the credit card information, the mailing address. What if that was real? And by the way, what are the odds that it's not? What are the odds that it's not?
The comment section of the video, which was dropped on January 3rd, was filled with fans who were highly entertained by the web Sonnen was spinning. Despite the attention the video has gotten, so far, Garry has yet to respond. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at UFC Fight Updates. As we anxiously await their UFC's return for the Ankalaev vs. Walker 2 card, a massive middleweight fight has been added to the UFC Vegas 89 event on April 6th. The bout will see former middleweight title challenger Marvin Vettori compete against streaking contender Brendan Allen in a pivotal clash that is expected to headline the card. With Allen surging up the middleweight rankings, his recent submission win over Paul Craig has put him in a position for a big step up in competition. Since the start of 2022, Allen has rattled off 6 straight wins, with 5 of them coming by way of submission. On the flip side, Vettori is eager to return to the win column after a horrifically lopsided loss to Jared Cannonier back in June. The loss dropped Vettori to 2-2 in the wake of his UFC 263 loss to Israel Adesanya, while also causing him to fall to number 5 in the UFC's official rankings. With Allen sitting at number 8 on the middleweight rankings, the bout could wind up seeing the winner insert themselves into the conversation for a number 1 contender fight. Next, let's take a look at UFC reveals shocking news on new TV deal. The UFC's current media rights deal, worth around $1.5 billion, which the promotion signed with ESPN in 2018, is set to expire in 2025. Since then, the promotion has continued to grow, with Endeavor recently acquiring the WWE in order to unite the UFC and the famed professional wrestling promotion under the TKO banner. According to Roth MKM analyst Eric Handler, who spoke to The Hollywood Reporter about his expectations for the UFC's next deal, he believes that the promotion could wind up securing a deal worth double what the 2018 ESPN deal was worth. We continue to have a positive view towards sport/live events programming, especially those with a high level of revenue being contractually guaranteed. The market for sports rights fees remains strong, aided by an increasing number of interested distributors. A UFC TV deal could be announced by year-end with new contract terms upwards of 2 times the current value. Of course, the expectation is that the UFC and ESPN work out another deal. However, until a deal is finalized, there's an opportunity for another network to make a big pitch. So far, since acquiring the WWE, the pro wrestling promotion has already managed to work out 2 broadcasting deals for its SmackDown and NXT shows, with another broadcasting deal for the WWE's Monday Night Raw program expected down the line. Given that, it sounds as though Endeavor is in for a massive 2024 as they head into negotiations for the UFC's next broadcasting deal. Next, let's take a look at Bryce Mitchell frustrated with UFC staff. Bryce Mitchell's knockout loss to Josh Emmett at UFC 296 led to one of the most scarring post-knockout moments in UFC history. After momentarily appearing to seize before regaining consciousness, Mitchell was seen stumbling around the octagon while flanked by doctors. At the time, Joe Rogan was incredibly vocal on the broadcast about the importance of those same doctors getting Mitchell to sit down rather than stumble around the octagon, considering how unsteady he was on his feet. In a recent interview with ESPN, Mitchell opened up on the situation, admitting that he still doesn't recall the moments inside the octagon after coming to. In addition, he took aim at the UFC staff for not doing a better job of protecting him from himself.
And I watched what they did with me afterwards, and I was talking afterwards. I was shaking hands and stumbling around. Dude, they need to immediately escort me out of there, and I really do think that needs to be a protocol, because from my standpoint, I can't remember nothing, and I would much rather, say I get knocked out again, I'd much rather them to just escort me out of there as soon as I'm up on my feet, and I mean like up under the armpits, and not even talk to me or nothing, just get me out of there as quickly as possible. But they still did good. If you noticed, like, they had all those officials in there, and even though I was talking and saying, "Oh, I'm fine" and stuff, they did escort me out eventually. But I don't even think they should talk to me in that case, because I was probably arguing with them, telling them, "Oh, I'm fine, I can walk," or I don't even know what I was saying. But yeah, they need to get me out of the cage, and I'm glad that they did. And that's just how they need to do that, because as fighters, man, they could stumble around and fall and hurt their head even worse.
As Mitchell indicated, despite the horrific loss, he does plan to return to the octagon. In the previously mentioned ESPN interview, Mitchell indicated that he will look to return in, quote, about a year. Next, let's take a look at Anthony Smith reveals sad news. Late last year, Anthony Lionheart Smith lived up to his nickname when he accepted a short notice fight against Khalil Roundtree Jr., one of the most ferocious fighters in the division. Unfortunately for Smith, despite managing to stun Roundtree early, he wound up getting finished late in the fight. As he explained during a recent episode of he and Michael Bisping's Believe You Me podcast, although he doesn't want to sound as though he's making excuses, he believes that part of the problem was the fact that he entered the fight after being out of camp, resulting in his body not reacting and responding the way he knows it should have. Smith also notably revealed that after the loss, he was in a dark place.
For anybody that's listening, if you've texted me or reached out and I haven't responded, it's not you, it's me. I'm just in a weird place, and sometimes you just have to unplug, and I really threw myself into just being with my family and sometimes you have to sit back and I don't know, you got to reevaluate and just kind of see where you are, what do you want, where do you want to go, what do you want to do, because it was a pretty dark place there for a while.
Despite the situation, Smith revealed that he came to the conclusion that he still enjoys fighting and plans to continue. After talking things over with Glover Teixeira, he believes that he simply needs to shape his game around his strengths as he ages. Given that, it sounds as though fans can expect him to return to action in 2024. The MMA community roasts Sean O'Malley after he had a back and forth with Ilia Topuria on Twitter. Sean tweeted out saying, "Ilia's my Eddie." O'Malley is referencing Conor McGregor's fight with Eddie Alvarez, where Conor knocked him out with one of the nicest 4-punch combos the sport has ever seen. Ilia replied by saying, "I offered to fight you, but the UFC told me that you're only good for fighting the teenagers places, because that's your only fan base. Our fight will never happen. After fighting Volk, I will fight Conor, and you will come as a fanboy. After seeing your pay-per-view numbers, the only thing I can offer you is that you fight in the preliminaries of my card." Here's what the MMA community had to say to Sean O'Malley. "If Ilia had one arm tied behind his back, I think you'd have a shot at surviving the first round against him. Maybe. Ilia smash you, bro. Couldn't finish the little paint factory boy Montinho, but you think you're beating that man? Just say you're scared of Volk and defend that belt, bud. Man wants to beat Conor so bad. Bro, you're good, but Ilia is something else. Ilia and Merab both will break you in 2 pieces. Sooner or later, you'll end up fighting Merab. You can run, but you can't hide forever. LOL, Topuria just gained a fan. Recent arrogance aside, he just landed another 50-42. The MMA community goes off on Israel Adesanya after he attempted to troll Sean Strickland. In a recent podcast with Theo Vaughn, Sean Strickland opened up about how he didn't even pass school. So Adesanya sent out this post to his Instagram story showing a picture of him with the caption, "Don't listen to me even though I didn't even pass school." Here's what the MMA community had to say to Izzy. "One day he'll make a joke that is funny. I really believe it. Cringe Lord strikes again. Literally handed an opportunity to save his reputation with this Strickland situation, and he posts this. I don't even get the joke this time. He's mad Sean beat the F out of him for 5 rounds. Talking back to his dad, shaking my head." Top comments. "I don't understand why Conor would want to fight at 185. He could barely function in the championship rounds at 170. Someone responded with, "Simple, so he can say once again he's the first to do something. KOs at 145, 155, 170, 185. Never been done. Thought everyone realized that's how he thinks by this point. I've never wanted someone to stay champion more than ever with Strickland. Dude really rattled Izzy long before they got in the cage and completely shut him down. He's definitely a character, yet not near as bad as Adesanya. Strickland become a legend with that press conference and the fight. He seriously deserves to stay at the top. Don't understand why anyone believes Conor's actually coming back, let alone being the favorite. I mean, let's be honest here. If he does come back, Chandler will flatline him in less than a minute. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.